the new year, a time for fresh starts and new beginnings. It's a moment when people around the world reflect on the past year and set goals for the future. But have you ever stopped to think about why we celebrate the new year in January? The choice of January as the start of the year isn't arbitrary. It has deep historical roots that date back thousands of years. The answer takes us back thousands of years to ancient civilizations and their fascination with time. These early societies were keen observers of the natural world and sought to understand the passage of time through the cycles of the sun, moon, and stars. Early calendars were often based on agricultural cycles. The rhythms of planting and harvesting dictated the flow of the year. The Egyptians, for example, marked the year by the flooding of the Nile River. This annual event was crucial for their agriculture and thus became a cornerstone of their calendar. The Romans initially followed a 10-month calendar beginning with March, the start of their agricultural season. This calendar was closely tied to the cycles of farming and the natural world. However, around 700 BC, things began to change. The Romans realized that their calendar needed to be more accurate and reflective of the solar year. This change was thanks to the efforts of the second Roman king, Numa Pompilius. He reformed the calendar, adding the months of January and February, thus aligning it more closely with the solar year and the seasons. Numa Pompilius decided to reform the Roman calendar. He wanted it to better reflect the lunar cycle. Numa added 2 new months, January and February, to the end of the year. January, named after Janus, the Roman god of beginnings, was later moved to the beginning of the calendar. This made it the first month of the year. It's important to remember that different cultures celebrated the new year at different times. Many ancient civilizations celebrated it in the spring, coinciding with the start of new life. Fast forward to the 16th century, a time of great change and discovery in Europe. The Renaissance was in full swing, and with it came advancements in science, art, and culture. The Julian calendar, implemented by Julius Caesar in 46 BC, had been in use for centuries. It was a significant improvement over previous calendars, but it wasn't perfect. However, it had a slight inaccuracy in calculating the length of a year. This discrepancy was small, just 11 minutes and 14 seconds, but over centuries it added up. This small error had caused the calendar to drift out of sync with the solar year. By the 16th century, the calendar was about 10 days off. To address this growing problem, Pope Gregory XIII introduced a new calendar in 1582. His reform was based on the work of astronomers and mathematicians. The Gregorian calendar, which we still use today, adjusted the length of the year and corrected the accumulated error. It also introduced the leap year system to keep the calendar in sync with the Earth's orbit. It was gradually adopted by different countries around the world, though the process took several centuries. Today it is the most widely used civil calendar globally. January's namesake, Janus, was a unique deity in Roman mythology. Unlike other gods, Janus had a very distinct appearance and role. He was often depicted with 2 faces, one looking forward into the future and the other looking back into the past. This duality made him a powerful symbol of transitions and dualities in life. He was depicted with 2 faces, one looking forward and the other looking back. This unique imagery wasn't just for show, it had deep symbolic meaning. The forward-looking face represented new beginnings and the future, while the backward-looking face symbolized reflection and the past. This symbolized his role as the god of beginnings, transitions, and endings. Janus was invoked at the start of any new venture, be it a journey, a marriage, or even a new year. His presence was believed to ensure a smooth transition and protect against misfortune. Janus guarded doorways and gates, representing the passage from one state to another. These doorways were not just physical but also metaphorical, symbolizing the transitions in our lives. From birth to death, and every significant event in between, Janus was there to oversee the passage. The association of January with Janus further cemented the month's significance as a time for reflection and new beginnings. As the first month of the year, January is a period when people look back on the past year and make resolutions for the future. This tradition is deeply rooted in the symbolism of Janus. As we step into another year, it's fascinating to consider the historical journey of our calendar and the enduring influence of ancient cultures on our modern lives. The legacy of Janus reminds us that every ending is a new beginning, and every beginning is a chance to reflect on the past. Please feel free to comment with other topics or questions you'd like to see on my channel. Add your YouTube link in the comments so we can build a supportive community together. Stay curious.